For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on your favorite podcast app. Happy summer to you. How's it going, everybody? You know what? We're already in July, and so it's funny to think how summer is going to fly by. But will it if you can't go outside and do stuff that you would normally do? Here's the thing. I am not a big social person. For the radio job, my books, newspaper stuff, I am on. Do you know what I mean by that? Like on, personality, energy, whatever. When it comes to weekends and downtime and stuff like that, I prefer just to hide out in the house. We have a nice private backyard, big trees, high wooden fence. Like it's so nice. And I enjoy that now. And you know what? I also enjoy coming in on a Saturday afternoon after a few hours and, you know, a couple sips outside. I enjoy coming in on a Saturday afternoon and just falling asleep on the couch for like an hour or two. I don't know, there's just something about that. Call me old. Not call me old-fashioned. Call me old, everybody. That's kind of the deal here. Yeah. But I've noticed that over time, I have always liked heat. Now, I'm Canadian, right? So we have the two extremes when it comes to weather when I'm home in Winnipeg, like I am. There's the super cold winter that gets to like minus 40, and then the super hot, which is actually plus 40 then, really, now that I think about it, because Winnipeg has some very humid summers. So to our American friends, that's 100. I guess that's 100 and minus 40 then, right? They're the same at that point. So I now am not liking the heat. I remember laughing at my mom years ago when we would go out to the lake. Now, this is probably 20 years ago or so. And my parents have a beachfront cottage. And I always would laugh because us kids, we just couldn't get enough. I mean, we had to get out there. The second school was done on Friday, like in early June, we were like, let's go to the lake, let's go to the lake. And we couldn't wait to get like, in the water, on the beach, whatever. And my mom always just stayed on the deck in like this, not a tent. What is it? Not a canopy. Oh, it's already escaping me. Thank you, Tim. Gazebo. She sits in a gazebo. And we laugh because it's like, it's summer, the sun is out, it's beautiful weather. Like, why are you, it's like you're hiding indoors on the deck, is how it comes across, really. And now that the roles have reversed, and I'm going to be 38. She wasn't quite 38 at the time. She was about 40-some then. But what my point is that as you get older, like, I feel that I can't tolerate the heat now. I kind of feel like I'm too old to be outside, right? But when you're a kid, when you're younger, you're just like, I love it. I could be I'm sweating to death, almost literally, and it's the greatest thing in the world. And you know, oh, the sun's going down. Oh, I don't want to go in. I don't want to go in. Now there's some days, truthfully, when I go outside and in the yard, you know, the dogs will go out and run, and I'll plop down in the chair, and I would say within about 45 seconds to a minute, I'm not kidding you, I'm already saying, I think it's time to go in. Thankfully, my dogs aren't the kind that like to stay outside without me. So if they see me get up and head to the door, they're coming with. Like, they don't want to be left behind. So it's never a situation where I'm kind of like, okay, you guys, let's go inside now. Come on, we have to go. They're like, yeah, we're right behind you. Because I'm not sure that they care for the heat anyway. And like I said, it's a very humid, it's a dry heat, as people say. If you've never experienced a dry heat, then you just don't get it. But it certainly is different than the heat in Mexico, let's say. I remember going, when we were there last summer, taping some radio shows, and I remember looking at the temperature at the forecast before we left. It's like, oh, it's gonna be plus 30, plus 32, and then I'm thinking that's like Winnipeg humidity, right? Well, we're out on the ocean there, right? You're by the bay. A totally different 30, 32, and then when it's 20 degrees there, you're cold at night. Whereas in Winnipeg, where I'm from, it's kind of like, this is still pretty hot. I'm still gonna be in shorts and a t-shirt. I am not covering up at plus 20. So there you are. Those first world problems, as they say, right? All right, so coming up, we have country singer Jamie O'Neill, who's got a new song, got a bunch of new music coming out in the near future, and a new video and stuff. And we're going to be talking with Jamie O'Neill. Looking forward to that. Hopefully those concerts will return soon, I guess, safely, right? I mean, we saw that one with Chase Rice the other, what was that, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Eek! I don't know. I'm still very leery about it. This is where I'm a contradiction. I'm okay going to the store and the mall and things like that now. I don't know. I feel like I'm in charge of where I can move and where I can't move. Maybe that's what makes the difference. If I'm in a big like auditorium, theater, concert hall, what have you, I would maybe feel better if I was able to like get up and move somewhere. But I just feel that because I don't want to say that it's a closed-in area because that makes it sound claustrophobic. But do you know what I mean? Like, you're just sort of, an airplane is a totally different story. And I know that there's that debate now with the airlines opening up middle seats, not opening up. I was reading some tweets the other day, and people are just tearing the airlines to shreds about not social distancing anymore. But I feel like if it's sort of an area, like if it's in a mall, I can walk to the food court. I can go to the other end. Like, it's not as closed in because there's more movement. When you go into a big arena or a stadium, hopefully is outside and open air, but I just feel like because you're in just sort of a round area, it's all just going to be compacted in there. Does that make sense? I'm trying to explain it, but I don't know even that my logic really makes sense. But at a mall, I can walk other places. It's not like we're all circular and facing each other and there's no movement and we're all just kind of there. Like you saw the Trump rally a month ago or whatever it was, where people were up in the rafters because that's where nobody else was. Like, I still think that that's too close just for my comfort level. I'm not saying safety wise. I'm certainly not a doctor and saying that, oh, you're right, that is the safer place to. I'm just saying for my comfort level, I don't even know that I would feel. Yeah, isn't it? It's kind of weird that I feel that way, but I want to know your thoughts. Are you just over the Rona? Are you over the coronavirus thing? And it's a tough thing because you might say yeah, but the problem is that the world isn't, and it's just coming back for more and more in certain areas. So it's sad to see. But send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Honestly, when we started talking about this Rona thing back in March, maybe was the first time, I just get so bored of talking. Like, even now when I'm thinking about that, I blew like 4 minutes talking about it. I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm even sick of talking about it. Why did I just do that? So anyway, that's what you get on this podcast, everybody. The radio shows, we've got it down to time. They give me 2 minutes. That's it. We got to go. Podcast, it's fair game. I can ramble on as long as I don't go past the 30 minutes. But we do have a celebrity guest. She's coming up next. We'll be right back.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
The incredible singer-songwriter Jamie O'Neill is joining us to talk about her latest release. It's called The World Goes On, and sometimes I wonder, though, nowadays. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, no problem. I appreciate it. But I have to say, this is the first song off the new album. And like I said, some days I wonder, though, it's a crazy time. So was that the inspiration for the song, or how did this come about?
When you step outside, the world is going on, and the first month of the pandemic and the shutdown and the quarantine, whatever you want to call it, the craziness, I was really in a dark hole, and I didn't feel like getting out of bed. And when I did, I would just watch the news, and there was so much information coming at me. And my husband and I just felt really overwhelmed, by everything and stressed out about what to believe. And, but I have this belief and this faith that, our nature is to fight against that and to want to live and to want to know that everything's going to be okay. And it always is. We've been through a lot of tough things. Everybody individually deals with tough things. And, there are better days, and it feels sometimes like, things are ending, but it's usually only a transition or a pause, and it affected me in a really deep way. And I feel like everybody needs that feeling of hope, and everybody needs some light to shine onto the darkness. And that's what I'm hoping this song does for people. Because even I need to hear that message of hope, that everything's going to be okay, and that, the sun is going to come up tomorrow, the birds are going to sing, the trees are blooming. We went from winter to spring, and now we're going into summer. And I feel better when I'm outside in nature. I definitely feel that. But we're slowly getting there, and hopefully everything's going to be okay.
Absolutely. But you forgot that the radio is going to keep playing your favorite song, Jamie. Come on.
That's true. Music is healing. I know playing music for me makes me feel good. So I think there are a lot of people that feel that way. Music is actually up like 20%. Because everybody, when I'm cooking, I put music on. When I'm playing games or having dinner with my kid and my husband, my family, we put music on, and we're just big music people. We're always creating new music, and I think it makes you feel something. It could be a sad song. It could make you feel emotional or make you think of someone you love, but it makes you feel.
Absolutely. And it's one of the few things in the world I sort of put music and food together, right? They can take you somewhere else, and it's an escapism sometimes.
Absolutely.
I always like to ask songwriters, and maybe you've heard this question a million times, do you draw on your own life experiences? Do you draw on other people's life experiences? Where's the inspiration? Because I know you write most of your music.
I think both. I think a lot of times it might be a friend of mine's going through something, and it makes me think, oh, that would be a cool song. But it's also myself going through it, or, something that I saw in a movie that inspired, like a title or something like that, or a TV show. All kinds of different places inspiration can come from.
And I hear a lot of times when people write, whether it's a book, like a memoir or a song, there's just such a freeing feeling. Sometimes that's a really good way to express, whether it's in writing, and maybe you're not even intending somebody to read your book or whatever it might be, in this case, a song. Have you had any sort of really emotional releases or something that just makes you feel really good? I finally got this out there and people can hear it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like, with this song, my co-writer Shay Smith and I are really good friends. There's three of us who wrote it, but that she's my female friend. And I feel like we've both at times dealt with some depression and feeling down and wondering, what's going to make us want to get out of bed the next day. And kind of that's how this song started out. But eventually everything does pass, and you do feel better, and there is a reason to go on, and there's always hope, and there's always something around the corner. Usually for me, it's faith. It's finding faith in God and knowing that He can get me through anything.
Looking ahead now, summer is here. This is going to be a very, very different summer for most people, if not everybody. What are your plans for the summer? Are you going to be laying low? Are you going to be writing more music? I know you've got the album coming out in the fall. We'll talk about that in a second. But what's on tap for this summer?
It's definitely really hard, with shows canceled and the big question mark and the unknown, because a lot of people that went back to work, artists can't really necessarily just jump and go back to work, just because they want to. especially with the guidelines that have been given to a lot of places not being able to fill up with a certain amount of people. I feel like we're finding ways to work around that by doing drive-in concerts and definitely with live streams and things. Who knows? I might just end up doing live streams from our studio here for the rest of the summer. I mean, I am going to the beach to play in Panama City Beach, and I'm looking forward to seeing some human beings in front of me, singing along with the songs and hopefully having a good time while, taking care of the guidelines of social distancing and everything. But it's tough because, the human touch, we like to meet new people, we like to hug people that our friends that we see, and, it's definitely been really challenging, really hard. So
Yeah.
we'll see what the rest of the summer holds. I'm not sure.
Well, and I mean, there's no better place to people watch than a beach. I mean, come on, right?
That is true.
I have to ask you, though, with this social distancing thing, we were talking about it in our office a couple of days ago. When this whole pandemic or the shutdowns, everything started, we heard about doing the elbow thing. I don't think that ever caught on. Do you see people doing that elbow bump thing lately or no?
Yeah, I just had a recording session and everybody was doing that.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm hanging with the wrong crowds then.
Just so. Up in Nashville.
Okay. Well, speaking of Nashville, we've talked about writing. Let's name drop for a second because you've been behind some songs for some pretty big names. Name drop: Martina, Reba. Just people might have heard of these people, right?
I hope so, man. They're the best. I've been lucky enough to get some cuts by some of my favorite artists and singers. Martina, like you said, Reba.
I'm not in the music business, but tell me, how does that work? How do you get the songs to these people? Do you just have connections? How does it go?
Well, I mean, I have a publishing deal, so yeah, your publishing company will have a person who pitches the song at the time that the artist is looking for a song. They're the ones who kind of go out and play it for the producer, and then the producer plays it for the artist.
Now, do you know which artists are hearing it, or you just it's just put out there?
No, you don't know until they come back and say to you, hey, so-and-so put your song on hold today.
Okay, so when you hear the R name, of course we're talking Reba, give me the first thought that came to your head.
Oh, just absolutely floored. I mean, I used to go see Reba play at Twitty City when I was a teenager in Nashville, and I always wanted to be just like her, she's just amazing. And I loved her energy and everything. So when I heard that she liked my song and she was going to cut it, I about fainted.
I think I'm trying to think of the first time that we met her. It might have been at the Country Music Awards in Vancouver, I think. And such a class act. I remember it's sort of the same kind of feeling starstruck, but then just she's just such a cool lady. I could have a beer with her. That's how I felt anyway.
Yeah, she is so nice to everybody and just exactly what you would expect. Just really caring and sweet and down to earth. Just a great person.
But I find that country music artists are very authentic like that. I mean, we've got a top 40 show and we have a country music show. There's just something different about a country music artist. You've interacted with more of them than I have. What would you say about that?
I totally agree. I think it's, we're raised that way, to be nice to people and to have manners, and also just getting to know people and being one big happy family in the community.
Absolutely, yeah. There's lots of great support, too. Artists really support each other.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So looking ahead to the fall, I sort of teased the album, and it's called Now and Then, right?
Right, yep.
What can we expect on that? I know you've got, again, some tracks that you've written, but what's the vibe, the overall vibe of the album?
It's going to be half original songs and half my hits re-recorded, but kind of in a different way, and we have a couple of different guest artists on the album, so that's really cool. Just to have some people to sing with that I've looked up to and I absolutely love. And the originals, it's great to have some new music out there. I've been writing for this record for 2 years.
And I guess with the pandemic and shutdowns, that's a lot of alone time that you've been able to sort of put pen to paper, or I guess maybe finger to keyboard for writing.
Yeah, we've actually been recording more than anything in our studio. Finishing the record and mixing and doing things like that has been number one for us.
Look at that. Who says nothing good came of coronavirus, right, Jamie?
Exactly, yes. It makes you feel so good when you can actually just create create, you know, and do what you love to do, and kind of there's no pressure on, oh, I have to run out the door to this or run out the door to this. I mean, there was nowhere to go. You know?
And that's, you know, that's the one thing. It's really tested people's creativity, because you've now had to find a way to either, you know, get your music heard, be there front and center for your fans, you know, like it's like the business hasn't stopped, right? People are still wanting that entertainment right now, especially now more than ever.
Oh, exactly.
Lots of great information on your website. I know social media. How can people keep in touch?
So I have my website, which is brand new, jamieoneal.com, and then I'm really responsive on Instagram. I love Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, you can find me. Definitely find me.
You are everywhere. You just need to look her up. All right. Well, Jamie O'Neal, thank you so much. Love the song. We'll be playing it on our country music show. And have a safe summer.
Fantastic. You too. And thank you for playing my music. And thanks to all the listeners out there. And good luck with everything. And just thanks again.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care now.
You too.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble. I need to know about your schedule and your routine as of late. And again, if you're still off work or school or whatever it is because of, oh damn, I'm mentioning it again, because of the virus. You know, a lot of people were saying that I'm going to still wake up at the same time. I'm going to even get dressed so that I still feel professional even if I'm working from home, things like that. I don't buy it. I don't think that many people, I think maybe people started doing that, but I'm not sure. I think over time it's probably eased up. But here's the deal. I had to get up, and I'm not even making a joke. This is not sarcasm. I had to wake up at 9 a.m. the other day because I had to go out. I had an appointment at 11:30. I had to get up at 9 o'clock. The night before, not kidding you, at about 7 p.m., 8 p.m., I was like, oh, you know what, I should get to bed soon. Because I'm considering that waking up early. Is that bizarre or not? Now, quite honestly, full disclosure, as a radio host, I don't have a 9 to 5 job or 8 to 4:30 or 8 to 5 or whatever you might have. I generally would only start my day at about noon anyway, but the thing is because I'm not leaving the house, I'm not running around, I'm not expelling that energy, I find that I'm sleeping in late. Here's kind of like a typical day in my house. We will sleep. Sometimes we wake up a little bit early because if you go to bed with the windows open and then the birds are chirping at like 5 o'clock, it just annoys the piss out of you. So it's not to say I'm not a morning person, but I'm really not in the summer. I prefer actually waking up in the winter when it's still dark. That's just me. But anyway, so sometimes you might have that early morning wake-up call from the birds if you've stupidly left the windows open overnight to enjoy a nice cool breeze. And so sometimes we get up early, but I can go to bed, I can fall asleep again right away. And honestly, the wake up time is generally between 10 and 11:30. And there's been a couple days where we have stayed in bed until about noon. Not for really any reason, like just put on the TV and start watching a couple shows. There are no phones in our bedroom, so it's not like we quickly get up and rush to the phone. That's something that I instilled very, very soon after moving into my house. I was like, bedroom upstairs. My bedroom is like a loft area, so it's the entire upstairs. And there's no food up there. There's no, just TV. That's the only electronics, the only technology that you get up there. So anyway, so it's not uncommon to stay in bed until 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then, again, not a joke, I will go downstairs and I will have a bath for about 2 or 3 hours. And so I'll ease into the day. Before you know it now, it's 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. You're not really hungry still because you haven't done anything. And then you do eat because you're just like, well, you know what, it's now 6 p.m. I should have something. And then when I do the radio shows, I can record the entertainment headlines the night before, do some other writing and things if I've got to write my newspaper column or whatever's happening. And then I look at the time and I'm like, it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, maybe midnight, depending. And I'm still wide awake. I'm still full of energy because I haven't done anything. Maybe I've walked the dogs, but still that's only like 45 minutes or an hour. It's not like so it's thrown my system for a loop. It's thrown my body out where at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., I can still be wide awake. Thankfully, I have no trouble falling asleep. So if I do go to bed, like if I physically go to bed, I'm not saying sleeping, I'm saying go to bed, go upstairs into my bed, I can generally fall asleep right away. But what I find, though, is that there's times where I'm just like, but I don't want to go to sleep again, right? So the novelty of this whole thing of like, I can stay up late, I can sleep in for the first, week or two is great. But now it's just sort of catching up with me where I'm almost resenting the sleep. But then it's my choice that I'm not, running around all day. So yeah, I'll walk the dog. I've even walked to the mall. There was one week, I'm not kidding you, I walked to the mall, which is about 25 minutes away, 3 times. Just because I just needed to get out and, be around the world. And then came right back home. I didn't buy anything. I didn't shop or anything. I wouldn't say that I was a mall walker, but I did, go into a few stores here and there and then basically just walk home. Yeah. And then came home and walked the dogs. But that's still not, doing that for 45 minutes or an hour certainly doesn't account for an 8-hour day where you're in an office, you're up and about, you're moving, you're talking, you're in meetings, it's just very different. So are you adapting to it? Are you kind of like me where you're just like, oh, God, I got to go to bed again now? I've even thought of just doing like 2 full days in a row. So what I mean by that is, let's say it's Monday morning. Monday morning, doing the whole thing about sleeping in until 10:30, 11 o'clock, doing the bath thing, whatever, but not going to bed that night. So now we're going from Monday night into Tuesday, not sleeping, but still, maybe doing a little bit more work, puttering around the house, doing whatever, because the sun comes up again right away anyway. So that also kind of makes it messes you up a little bit. And then it's Tuesday night till Wednesday night is when I would go to bed at like 10 o'clock, feel exhausted. I'm thinking of doing that. Now, again, I'm not a doctor, and I don't think that's anything dangerous. I think people have pulled an all-nighter before and survived, and I'm not saying that I would do this on a regular basis, but I'm tempted to do that. That's how wild and exciting my life is, everybody. Can you believe that? I'm thinking about spending 2 days without sleeping. Isn't that crazy? God, I'm old. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. I am old enough that you could also send me a fax. I'm not joking.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on the Scribble, and just going back to this whole scheduling thing. I had to go because they were wrapping me up, but I did mention about like sort of not wanting to eat or whatever. I'm also kind of finding that I'm sort of resenting food. Again, the novelty at the very beginning was I'm just going to eat, I'm going to eat junk, I'm going to drink, I'm going to lay around. But and again, this is maybe your body catching up with your age. Is, I had I had 2 cans of Pepsi one day and really felt bloated. I don't normally drink things like that. I'm a water drinker. And so I guess that amount of sugar just made me feel like a blob and bloated. And then I'm looking at my stomach the next morning in the mirror and I was like, wow, that's disappointing. And when you live with a Brazilian fitness model, it's even more disappointing, not just to you, but to your other half as well. But yeah, no, I'm finding that I don't even want to eat. There's times when it's like, oh, should we eat? Well, do you want to order Subway? I don't even feel like eating Subway. We can have tacos. I don't feel like eating anything. Crackers and cheese, just some, little nibbly foods. No, I don't even want that. Like, it's kind of really strange. But again, if you're not working up an appetite, now, I mean, he's still going to still working out and doing, 2 hours of exercise. So cycling and lifting weights and things like that. But yeah, for me, I'm just kind of like, I'm still just the pasty, scrawny white kid. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. I've got 1 minute still. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com. Is your routine just effed up because of these the new schedule, the shutdowns, and everything like that? And even what I thought too quickly though, I thought that I could maybe still leave the house for 8 hours a day and make it seem like, but I would run out of things to do because nothing was open at the time. But maybe that's the trick, is actually get up and leave. No different than like if you've been fired, if you lose your job and then you don't want to tell your partner, and so you still leave the house in the morning like you're going to work. Nobody's ever done that, right? No. Anyway, my name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hate doing this, but remember to subscribe to the podcast. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.